Someone has just DM'd me on Instagram, answers 4 questions, and 30 seconds later, a new row pops up into my CRM. From my side, nobody has touched anything, but the lead has been marked qualified and a call has been booked in my actual calendar. And the same thing happens on my website. The same result at the same speed and almost zero manual work. So that's what we're going to be building today. I'm going to show you every single click and every single line it takes for you to build a fully functional lead qualifying agent. So here's the basic shape of what the flow looks like. There are 2 ways that a lead can come in. Either they DM me on Instagram or they fill out a form on my website. Now these 2 leads go into what I call the qualification brain. Now that brain decides if that person is actually worth my time or not. So I built it on Claude and it gives me a set list of rules and instructions for what a qualified lead actually looks like to me. And it will run through the answers the same way I would if I was sat here doing it myself. Now, of course, I don't have to sit here doing it myself because I built this for me. Now, the benefit of having something like this, of course, is that it never gets tired like a human would. It will run 24/7. So that means it will never let a good lead slip just because it's like after hours or I'm asleep or one of another million reasons, right? Once it's made a decision, it does 3 things. Whether that lead is qualified or not, it will log it into my Notion CRM. If it is qualified, it will send me an email to say that I've got a new qualified lead, and it will send them a booking link from Calendly to book a call with me. Even if the lead is not qualified, like I said, it's logged into my Notion CRM and I can follow up with that lead later. So this is the full stack and I'm just going to quickly run you through why each piece fits in here. So we start with building the entire thing on Claude Code. Now it's really convenient to have everything built on Claude Code. You can see the app being built live in front of you and you don't have to use a third-party platform like N8N or Zapier because everything is all just in one place. Instagram is run with ManyChat, so that's for your DM automations. Tally is what I use for my website forms, and you can embed a Tally form into your website, which is really cool. So that's what I've done. Notion is my one CRM, my database. My entire business actually runs on Claude. So I highly recommend that for someone who doesn't want to buy an extra CRM like go high level. Notion is really convenient and easy to use. Resend is what I use for emails. Both emails come to me once someone has filled in a form, and the confirmation email goes to them when they have booked a call in. And about bookings, so everything is managed with Calendly. They can just click and book there, and it's linked to my Google Calendar, so I can just see all the appointments and I don't have to manage anything myself, so I just know what calls I need to jump on. Once it's complete, the entire thing is hosted on Vercel, so it actually gives the agent a real live web address instead of just working on my computer, so I can actually access it anywhere if I wanted to. Alright, so first things first, we're going to build out the database with Notion. Now the reason why you build the database before you build the agent is because the agent needs to have somewhere to send all of the information to when the leads start coming in. So the database has to come first. Now there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can either build it in Notion yourself manually, or you can get Claude to do it for you. So I'm going to show you how to do it with Claude because we're going to be doing everything with Claude and Claude Code. So you might as well start from the beginning. So if you don't have a Notion account, I do highly suggest that you go create one, pause this video, create your account and come back. Once you've got your account, we're going to go to Claude. We're going to pop up Claude here, click customize in the sidebar, and we're going to go to connectors at the bottom here. Click connectors, and you can see Notion is already sitting in popular here, but if you can't see it sitting in popular, you're going to go to add, browse connectors, and you're going to type in Notion here like this. We're going to click this button here, and you'll see in my other tab that it is populating. You can see connect with Notion MCP, and I'm going to click continue, and you'll see very quickly that Claude does connect. And once we've done that, we're going to prompt it to connect for us. So we can see connected to Notion, and we're going to come out of this, build me a table in Notion with the following build properties. And I already have my properties saved, so I'm just going to copy and paste them into the prompt. So we can see here, and you can see build properties. We'll put it on a separate line here. Name, contact, source, status, score, reason, stage, date added. Now, these ones in brackets is just kind of the property value of each build property. So everything that is formatted correctly. And we're going to click enter here, and it's going to create a table for us very, very quickly. So we then have the place for all the information to go through from the agent when the leads start coming in. So once it's created, we're then going to grab what's called an API key. So we can see it's been created, and if I click the link here and click open link, we can see it populate for us straight away. So you can see name, contact, date added, reason, etc., etc. So this is where all the information is going to go to. We're going to get the API key, and the API key is for the integration from Claude Code into Notion, so that when the information starts following through, everything just gets put into Notion automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a new tab, as you can see here, notion.so/my integrations. You can see here, my-integrations. So we're going to click this, and it's going to see connections page. You can see a couple of mine here already, but I'm going to click new connection. I'm going to call it lead quali demo, and we're going to go access token. Make sure that's the access token, because you can see here it says API. Create connection, and you can see that it comes up here. So your access token firstly appears hidden. Now you can only ever see your access token once. Let me say it again. You can only ever see your access token once. So it's very key that you take the access token and save it somewhere safe. So you can see what it looks like here. It's just a bunch of random letters and numbers. We're going to click copy, and I'm just for now going to pull up my notes page and copy it into my notes page so it's easy accessible. It's very key that you keep this private yourself. This one's just a demo for us, so it's not the end of the world. Then we're going to go back to the Notion database, and we're going to find the link for it, copy link. Now keep this link as well just for now, and I'm going to save this one again in the notes page. So we've got the two values, which is going to help us connect Claude Code and all the other information to Notion to make sure that the information is flowing through. Now we've got the API key from Notion, we need to get the API key from Anthropic. So as you guys probably know, Anthropic is the creators of Claude, just in case you don't. So we're going to go to console.anthropic.com. You can see it populates up here. So click that. We're going to get a new API key. Now the reason for this API key is for our qualification brain. So this is the center of all operations. We're going to go here to API keys, and we're going to create a new one, create key. And we're going to call this one as well, lead quali demo. Click add, and again, same way, this one you're only ever going to see once. So very, very important that you save it somewhere safe. We're going to click copy key, and we're just going to paste this into Notion, in my notes as well. So there we have the API key for Anthropic. All right, so now we've got all the information, we're ready to start building. So you can see on my screen, I have an empty Claude Code session. So I have a few prompts ready to go, so it saves me time from typing. So the first prompt is we're gonna create the actual project file. So you can see here it says, create a new node.js project called lead qualifier. Set up an express server with 2 post endpoints, API webhook Instagram and API webhook website. Now, as you remember previously, we had 2 leads flowing into one engine. So that's what this is for. Both should accept a JSON body, log it to the console and respond with received true. So this makes sure that the lead has been received, and then that helps the engine start to think and read through the answers. Add a get/root that returns the text to lead qualifier is running. So this is what's going to start moving it into the actual database. Create a package.json with express and dotemv as dependencies and env example file listing your API keys. So remember, all the API keys that we got previously is going to go into what's called an env example file. Add a start script that runs the server with Node. Now, this all sounds very technical, but it's very important that you have the information set up correctly so we don't make any mistakes going forward and we have less errors that we need to fix as we start to build. So what we're going to do is copy and paste this. So I'm going to do Control Command C on my thing, and then we're going to go to the terminal and we're going to click Command V. Now you can't see it properly, but when I click enter here, you'll start to see it's working. So watch what it's going to do. What it's going to do is going to create the 2 doors. So for the Instagram and for the website. That's literally what those are. Right now, both of these doors will just say, I've got something, and then that's it, because we haven't actually built the brain behind them yet. So we're going to build that one next. So this one is just asking me where it's going to live, and I'm just going to put it in my projects folder, and it's going to continue to build. So as you can see, it's designed everything for us. It's telling us the exact location, the stack on which it's being built for. It shows here our 2 webhooks for both Instagram and for website, and it's got the env example file here as well. So does this all look good? We're going to click enter, and it's going to continue to build all of that for us. Okay, so now it's done. We can see it's built everything that we wanted it to do. We're going to do npm install, And once it's installed the project, we're gonna go npm run and we're gonna actually see it there running. Okay, so now we're gonna run npm start, and what I'm gonna show you coming up, it will say it's running on port 3000. So once it's done that, we can then run to a new tab and we're gonna type in localhost 3000. And you can see that the agent is currently running. Now, it's just an agent, so you're not gonna see any fancy like UI or front end or anything like that just yet. You can at least see that the lead qualifier is running, so it is working. Before I forget, I'm gonna take the keys that I've just created from Notion and from Anthropic, and I'm gonna add it into our env file. I'm gonna quickly copy my env example file and I'm gonna turn it into an actual env file. So the reason why I'm doing this is because the env file is the actual file that's gonna hold our API keys. So .env, and I'm gonna just hit save here. We're gonna open up this file and I can pull it from my other screen. We can see here, Anthropic API, Notion API, Notion database ID. So this is the URL that we were talking about before. So if I bring up my notes page and I go to that, we can copy and paste my Notion API key here. And then we can take the database URL here and copy it into this one. And then we're going to take my Anthropic API key and we're also going to copy it into here as well. Now you'll see here Resend API key and Calendly link as well. Now we don't need these ones just yet. We're going to come back to those ones later, but it's good to have that saved. So we're going to do this. We're going to click file and we're going to click save. So now the env file is all saved through. This next part is the most important 10 minutes of this entire video. So I need you to stay with me. Before I write any code, I'm writing down in plain English what actually makes a lead qualified for me. No code, this is just a small paragraph. Someone's qualified if they've already tried to solve this problem before. That tells me real intent, not just curiosity. They describe their specific situation, not just vague answers. What that means is that there's effort. If they're telling me exactly where they are, what they want to do, how they want to get there, what their goals are, that is specific. And that's showing that they really put some thought into their answers, which makes a good lead. There's a budget or urgency signal in that answer. So sometimes within a form, you could probably ask the question, do you have a budget ready to start? Or are you ready to get started within the next month or the next week or whatever it may be? That shows a little bit of an urgency signal. They are not qualified if just having one word answers, they're clearly just browsing. That means some people you would say, what is the reason you want to do this? People would just say money or get rich. And some people you say, what have you done previously? And they'll be like, nothing. And stuff like that is just one word answers, and you can tell that they're just not serious. No timeline, no urgency, no specific situation. Again, it goes back to what I was saying about here. If they're not putting any effort into their answers, then they're not a good lead and they won't be a good person to work with. So the real reason why this is the most important part, this specific paragraph is personal to me. So I wrote this one myself. Everything else within this build, every tool, every line of code is identical no matter what it is that you're selling. But this is the part that you're going to rewrite for your own business. So really take some time to sit there and think about what you consider to be a qualified lead and who are the people that you don't want to work with or who is not a qualified lead. You can use this as inspiration, but really sit and think about what is specific to you and to your business. Okay, before we carry on, I'm just going to kind of quickly explain to you what this prompt actually means. So I'm telling it to install the Anthropic SDK and add a function called qualified lead. And what this actually does is takes the lead's answers, sends them to Claude along with my rubric as a specific prompt. Asks for the response back in one very specific shape. Qualified, is it true or false? Score 0 to 100, and the stage is just a short description of where they're at. And the reasoning is just one sentence. So why does this shape matter so much? Because everything downstream, Notion, the email, the routing, all of it depends on the response coming back structured exactly the same way every single time. If I let Claude just write a paragraph back as it wants, none of the automation after this actually works. So we can see here the design for qualified lead is saying design above, proceed to implement, and we're just going to say yes, proceed. The majority of these like permissions that you get will just be, they'll give you a recommended answer. So usually you just take that recommended answer, but as you're starting, it's important to read through the options that it gives you so it kind of understands, so you understand exactly what it's telling you it should do and what it shouldn't do. All right, so it's been built. Let's just test it out. I've got 3 leads here, and these 3 leads are just fake test leads, and I'm gonna paste them into Claude. And what we're gonna see is the reasoning that it comes out with. Now, because we haven't built the entire engine yet, you won't see it come up in Notion or anywhere else, but this is just to show you the reasoning. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna click Control C, and we're just gonna say, run the test with this fake lead, and I'm going to just paste it in there. I'm going to hit enter, and you're going to see it start running. So what it'll come out with is the reasonings why, right? We said before exactly what the structure would look like. So we're going to see a reasoning come out with it. So it's qualified is true. Is it qualified? Yes or no? And it said yes. Score 95 out of 100. So a very, very strong lead. Stage, established coaching business at a plateau, ready to scale with the budget allocated. Now, the reasoning is the most important one here. Why is it a strong lead? It's a strong qualifier with a specific revenue number, clear timeline, allocated budget, previous solution attempts, and urgent next month launch creating media need. So as we've been building the engine, is coming up with the reasoning as to why this guy is a qualified lead. We're gonna run the other one. Let's run number 2. This one is Sam Casey, and we're going to see this one a little bit different. His stage, not really sure, just looking around. Urgency, no rush, maybe someday. So what you'll see with this one is that it's not a qualified lead because it has no urgency whatsoever. So qualified, false, score 15 out of 100. Stage, early browsing with no clear intent. They said not really sure, just looking around. So the reasoning was vague answers, no specific situations, no timeline or urgency, no indication that they've attempted to solve a problem before. And just one final one. This one is going to be a slightly stronger one than the previous one, but not as strong as the first one. So this one's a freelance video editor doing about 2K a month on the side. No specific timeline though, so just exploring options. So let's have a look at what it comes out with. This one also not a qualified lead. Score number 35, early exploration, side hustle with no prior attempts and no previous problem solving attempts, no urgency or timeline. So you can see here, no specific timeline, just exploring options. So you can see that the engine now works. We're seeing specific reasoning. We're seeing whether the leads are gonna come back qualified or not. Okay, so now we're gonna wire ManyChat and Tally into the fields that we've just built. So you can see on this prompt here, wiring both doors into the brain, the doors being ManyChat and Tally. So what we're telling it is that ManyChat is gonna send me different fields as opposed to Tally. ManyChat is gonna send me subscriber name, subscriber Instagram, _stage, _intent, and so on and so forth. All these different fields. Tally is going to send me just name, email, stage, intent, budget, and timeline. So I'm telling Claude Code here, whichever door this comes through, whether it's ManyChat or Tally, it needs to be translated into the one shared shape first. Name, contact, source, and a set of answers before it ever reaches the qualifying function. That's the entire trick. The brain never has to know or care where this lead came from, whether it's from Instagram or from my website. It just sees the same clean shape every single time. And that's how we get a really high quality output consistently. So this is exactly how you're gonna add that third lead source later, a phone call, WhatsApp message, whatever it be. You don't need to touch the brain at all. You're just writing one more small mapping just like this one. So we're gonna take this one and we're gonna copy it into our terminal. So Control C, and we're gonna run it in our terminal here and let it run. Okay, so now that we're actually seeing a verdict come back, we need to put it somewhere permanent. So I'm installing the Notion client library, and this is writing a function which is saving all the leads that we've just written and the qualification result into the Notion database in the format that we wanted to. And it's going to fill every column that we have. So you can see here we have name, contact, source, status, score, reason, stage. So all of these is going to get filled out into our Notion database. You can see it all here. So all of these are going to get filled. So we're going to take this prompt. We're going to go back to our terminal and we're going to copy and paste that prompt in here. And we're gonna let that run. Then once we've done that, we're gonna send another fake client from the previous ones that we ran, and we're gonna put it in again, and we're gonna see that fall into the Notion database. Okay, so as we've been running this, there's been a couple of errors that have come up, and it's very normal for errors to appear when you're building the agents. You just need to know how to resolve them. So for this one, it's saying that there's an external blocker that cannot be resolved, and it's only fixable in the Notion UI, not via the API key. So what is it saying? It says that the client package has been installed, which is great. That's what the prompt was for, but it's not verified or wired into the server. So what we need to do is we're gonna go to Notion and we're gonna go to our leads table. So it's still empty at the moment. We have these little 3 dots in the corner. We're gonna click these 3 dots and go to connections. So you would have remembered that the lead quali demo that we had built in the integrations is what that connection is for. So the API key that we had is what this connection is called. So if we scroll down, we can see here it says lead quali demo. Okay, now that's been added, we're gonna go to our terminal again, and we're just gonna say the connection has now been done. Retest the verification. And we're gonna let that run. It's normal for these errors to happen. You just need to know how to solve them. The other error, as this is running, I'm going to explain to you. The other error that you might face is with the Notion database URL. So if you remember, we had this URL that popped up. Now, you might find a little bit of an error with this URL because of something at the end here called source equals copy link. Now, this is because we clicked this little copy link button here, so it came up with this extra little bit on the end of the URL, and that also got flagged in our terminal. So instead of copying it from the Notion app, you're going to go to Chrome and you're going to open up Notion in Chrome. And I'm just going to bring it up on my screen here. So we're going to go back to Notion. Now you have the desktop app or you have the web app. Some of you might be using the web app already. So we're going to go to leads here, and we're just going to take the URL from this one. And I'm just going to save that to my notes for now, just so we don't make a mistake again. And this is now the URL that has been added to my env file. And what you can see now, actually, as we've been talking about the errors, we see some new leads being popped up in our leads database. So that shows us that the new Notion installation now works. So leads are now falling through the pipeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back actually to our notes, and I'm going to take the same prompt, slightly different actually, but we can see that there's one strong lead qualifier that we had before, the one that actually qualified with the score of 95. I'm just going to take a little bit of a different bit of code just because it works a bit better now that we've had more installations within the flow. I'm going to go back to our terminal, ready for it to be done. We can see that now the installation is 100% complete. I'm just going to say test the flow with this fake client, and I'm going to press paste, and we're going to go through here. So what we're going to see now is, as we go to Notion, I'll just move this to the side over. We already have these 3 test ones that have been done, and hopefully we're going to see another one popping up slowly. And we can look, Jordan Blake, you can see strong qualification, score of 95, established business at plateau, seeing breakthrough to the next revenue level. So it's the exact same information that we had in the previous stages when we were building the engine is now showing up in our Notion database. Okay, so a couple more steps before this thing is fully wired up, and one of them is going to answer a question that a lot of you probably going to have, which is how do you connect it to your Google Calendar? But first things first, we're going to go to sort our emails out in Resend. So Resend is the email platform which is going to send you an email every single time you get a new qualified lead. You're going to go to API keys, you're going to create API, and you're going to say lead quali demo. This is what we're going to call ours. Click add. Again, you can only see it once, so make sure that you copy that in to a safe place, and we're going to click save, copy and paste there. So then you're going to go to Calendly. So Calendly is what's going to allow people to actually book a call with you. So I'm just taking you to the homepage here. You can see I already have one event, and we're going to click copy link, and that's going to actually plug into the lead flow later on. But for now, we're just going to connect our Google Calendar. So how to do that is you go to integrations and apps, and you go to Google Meets. Now mine's already connected, but you'll just click on here and it will give you that option to add a calendar. For example, if I was to just go to Outlook, so you click on Outlook here and it's going to come up with that pop-up and it's going to give you the ability to connect a new calendar. You can click here, connect calendar account. So that is how you set up Calendly, and Calendly is then every time someone clicks to book a meeting with you, that event is going to get fired straight into your calendar, so you never ever miss a meeting, and you don't also have to manage it yourself, which is great. Okay, so for now, we're going to copy my link for this event just for an example for argument's sake. We're going to go to the env file and we're going to add that Calendly link into here. Then we're going to go and get our API key from Resend and we're going to copy and paste that one in here as well. So now all the configurations for all of the apps have now been wired up in our env file. So there should not be any other problems. Okay, so now we have this prompt that we're going to plug into Claude Code, and it says add a function of send qualified alert to the email that we're going to put into here. So we're just going to use my email for my company, hello.trackcollect.com. And what's going to happen is every time you get a qualified lead, it's going to get sent straight to your email. So let's take this, let's copy it, let's go back to our terminal and let's click paste, and we're going to let that run. So Resend API has been connected and our Calendly link has now been connected. So every single time a lead comes in, a qualified lead comes in, I get the email and they get a link to book a call with me. All right, so everything up until this point only exists on the laptop. We've built everything on the terminal. Everything is now wired from almost A to Z, right? But the problem is that ManyChat and Tally cannot reach the local host that we are hosting this currently on. When we run the server, it runs on localhost, but we need somewhere for it to live. So this is where we deploy it to Vercel. So we have another prompt here, and I'm going to put this one onto the screen. So you can see here it says add a Vercel Dashon. So this Express app deploys as Vercel serverless, etc., so that we're allowing Instagram and the website to be the two routes that flow into this agent. So again, we're going to take this prompt and we are going to paste it into the terminal, and now we are deploying it to Vercel. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that it might ask in terms of the architecture of what this is going to look like. So this one's asking how are we going to structure it, and we're just going to structure it as an Express app because that's what we've been building throughout the agent flow. And we're going to press enter on that one. And this one is asking regarding how long each call takes. We're just going to let it with 30 seconds. And this is the design, and then we're just going to accept the defaults and we're just going to let it run so we can proceed with that one as well. Okay, now that it's deployed, or now that it's been built in Vercel, I'm just going to quickly run Vercel, and that's going to run. And then once we've done Vercel login, we're going to quickly run another command called Vercel, and this is just making sure that all the webhooks and everything is done. We're logged in and we're going to run Vercel here. All right, so this one is now giving me one more command, and we're just going to copy and paste this one here. It's important that you include the little exclamation point here as well. We're going to do Control-C and Control-V, and we're going to let that run. Don't worry about the little red lines that just popped up there. That's perfectly normal. So we're just going to run that here, and then you can see now that it's just uploading everything that we need to Vercel, and then we'll be able to run this, I think, pretty much properly from A to Z. All right, so one thing that people do forget is that you need to make sure that your environmental variables are pasted into Vercel as well. So the environmental variables are what we had included for our API keys. So we can see here the 5 API keys that we had built in and the link as well. Now, Claude is saying, do you want me to push it for you? So you can say yes, add them now. So what it's going to do now is making sure that those API keys have all been set in Vercel. Now, sometimes Claude doesn't actually ask you if it wants you to do it for it. So you can ask Claude to do it for you, or you can go and do it yourself. You log into Vercel, you go to your project, and you can add the environmental variables in through there. But why would you do that when AI can do it all for you? So now it's running, and you can see here that this link is saying live and working. It's just coming up with a couple of different things. So we're going to take this link, we're going to go to Chrome, We're going to open up a new tab and we're going to go to lead qualifier, and hopefully this is going to work. So enter. It is saying that lead qualifier is running, so everything is still up and running, which is great. Let's have a look at what else Claude is running. So it's just redeploying now that the environmental variables are in the Vercel production site, and it's going to test new end-to-end against the live URL. All right, now that we have built everything out in Vercel, we're going to start to build out the Instagram side through ManyChat. Now, for those that haven't seen ManyChat, I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown on what it actually looks like. So this is the automation page. Now, if I click this one here, we can see it looks a little bit complicated, but I promise you it is really simple. Essentially, what it does is it gives the user the answer, but dependent on the answer that they gave to the previous question. So if I just zoom into here, it starts off with a quick trigger. So someone who comments on one of my posts or my reels, or they send me a message through the DM, then the specific keyword that they message will kick off that trigger for this flow. So this one just asks them, what is their current work situation? Dependent on their answer is what the next message would be. So they can see that, for example, if they're a freelancer, the message becomes most freelancers I talk to aren't stuck because of their skill, they're stuck because of their time. What is currently eating up the most of their time? You say client reporting, and it goes into the next question. Then they ask if they're interested in a free 30-minute call with me. And if they say yes, then they get their link. If it says tell me more, they get some more. And then all of a sudden is whenever it comes up to an end. Basically, the intention of this flow is for them to book a call in with me. But this is what the lead qualifier looks like. Are they actually qualified to book in a meeting with me? So this all looks a little bit complicated, I can understand, and it does actually take up a little bit of time to build. So I've actually put together a prompt for you guys. So in this prompt, what you're gonna see is the full step-by-step guide for Claude to build out this ManyChat flow for you. You're gonna create a new automation, call it lead qualifier, use whatever keyword that you want, and it's gonna give them a quick welcome acknowledgement message, and then it's going to get started with a few questions. You can see these 4 questions here, and you can see the custom fields. Now, you might remember me saying earlier that the fields that are being given from Instagram in comparison to the fields from Tally and the web form are 2 different. So we're just making sure that these are being mapped to the correct fields. After the final question, it's going to add an external request, and it's just going to make sure that all the answers are mapped correctly to their correct fields, and then it's going to publish that flow actually for you. So take this prompt, put it into Cowork, and let it work for you. Don't do it in Claude Code because sometimes it doesn't work 100%. Make sure that you do it in Cowork. So we're going to plug that into Cowork, and then once it's built, we're going to come back and we're going to carry on. All right, so you can see the entire thing has now been built. You can see that the trigger word is partner. All the questions have been set in, and it's also posted the external request as well into the ManyChat flow. So now everything is all up and ready. So now we're gonna go and do the Tally flow. All right, so this is the prompt that we're gonna plug into Tally. Now, before you plug this prompt in, I need you to go ahead and install Tally into your terminal. So I've already just done it. And you can see here the prompt or the command is Claude MCP add Tally transport with the Tally/MCP. Now this is going to make it super easy to actually build that form out in the terminal for you. So we're going to go back to the prompt here. You can see you've got questions 1 through 6. I'm going to take the entire thing. What you have to do, you have to make sure that you paste your Vercel website webhook into here before you actually put the prompt into the terminal. So that's what we're going to go and do now. So this is my URL, so we're just gonna delete this here, and we're gonna just remove this little bracket there. So it should be everything ready for the prompt. So we're gonna take this like this, click Ctrl+C and go back to the terminal and paste that in there. And we're gonna let that run. So it's gonna build out the form for us. It's gonna connect the webhook, and everything is gonna be up and ready to flow from both now ManyChat and Instagram and through the website and the Tally MCP. So it might ask you to go ahead and authenticate Tally, and it's given me a little command that I can just paste into the actual chat. So we're just going to comment that, and it should basically pop up the actual auth flow. So it might ask you to authenticate yourself, and it gives you a little prompt here. So !Claude MCP list. So it's just making sure that the MC first is connected. All right, so it might ask you to authenticate yourself through Tally. What you might need to do is paste this little prompt here, Claude MCP list, just to make sure that the actual CLI is being triggered and the MCP is connected. Once it's done that, it's going to say that there's a dedicated login tally command. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this here, and we're just going to paste that also into a new terminal. And so what we're going to do is copy that into here, and it's going to run the login authentication, and it's actually popped up on my other screen here. So this is what you can see, and we're just going to click accept, authentication successful, happy days. So bringing back my terminal, everything should now be ready. And we're just going to say, please verify, and let's see what it says. Sometimes when you connect an MCP, it might say that it can't see it in that existing session. So what that might mean is that you might need to create a new session and pick up where you left off. So I've gone and done that. So I've created a new session here, and right now it's running. I've just said, please pick up where we left off with building the lead qualifier website form. And we're just verifying that the tally form is now connected and authenticated. So sometimes you may have to restart a session to make sure that the tally MCP is connected. What I've done is I've taken the recap from the previous session that is sitting in our terminal here, and I've just pasted it into a new session following on from this recap with the recap pasted, and then I'm going to ask it again to trigger that prompt. So we're going to go back to Notion, press Command C, go back, press Command V, and trigger the prompt. So this time should be no issues. Let's see how it goes. So we can see here that the form has been done, but it says the webhook needs to be done manually, but we can get Claude to connect in Chrome and walk through the clicks itself. So it says here actually, do you want me to open the tally dashboard in Chrome and walk through those clicks for you so you don't have to context switch? So we're going to say yes, and it's going to open it up for us. So right now you can see it working, right? And it has actually opened up Claude in the Chrome, and you can see that this mouse is moving. So this is actually Claude taking control of Chrome and is building out the webhook for us to prep everything. And what you can usually see is it's created like a group tab in Chrome, and there's this little emoji here which is the sun timer, and it is basically telling us that it's still working. What you'll see when a task is completed is this little tick icon here. So once the task has been completed, you'll see the tick. So you don't have to constantly be watching it over and over again. When you come back, you see it's working, and then when it's not working, or when it's still working, it'll have the sun timer, and when it's completed, it will have the tick. But as you can see, it's continuously working to make sure everything is running. Right now it's showing a failed event log, so it's going out there and it's fixing it for us. Okay, so everything has now been built. We can see that the tally pipe is genuinely live. Instagram is untouched, it says, because it cannot verify Instagram flow through the terminal. So we're going to actually test that all out now. So let's do it. We're going to go to the lead qualifier form. Now it looks very basic. This is just as an example. So we're going to type in the form. We're going to go my name, Nazir Dogan. We're going to just do one of my emails. What stage is your business at right now? We'll just say beginner, doing, let's say 2K a month, just as an example. What are you hoping to get out of this? I want more clients. We're going to keep it fairly generic. Let's see what it says. Budget depends, not want more than $100 to spend. Let's see what it says with that. And then on a timeline point of view, you're going to say how soon are you looking to get started? And we're going to say maybe in a month. Okay, so that is the entire form has been built, and we're going to click submit here. Thank you for completing the form. So let's go to our Notion, and in just a couple of seconds, there we go. We can see that my lead has now been posted there with a score of 35. So say nurture, not a qualified lead just yet. All right, so we're now going to test it on my Instagram. I'm screen recording my phone so you guys will be able to see. I've got a separate account, so I'm just going to type in here partner. All right, let's get you qualified. Just a few quick questions. Click, let's go. What stage is your business at right now? And I'm going to say beginner. What are you hoping to get out of this? Learn more about building AI. Again, I'm just going to keep it very generic. Do you have a budget in mind? And we're going to say $1,000. Let's try 1,000 this time and see what score it comes out with. How soon are you looking to get started? And let's say in the next couple weeks. So these forms are all type forms. They're not multiple choice. It really makes them think about what their answers are, because if you give them multiple choice, it's easy for them to just click one of them, they fall in that bracket. But if you do text field, it really gives them that opportunity to think about what they are answering about the questions. If they're really serious, they'll actually give you good answers. So now we've done that, we're gonna go back to our leads and we're gonna see that pop up into our field just shortly. All right, amazing. Here you can see Naz Talks AI, that is me. The reason, you can see generic intent to learn more without describing a specific problem they're trying to solve or evidence that they've attempted solutions before. Source came from Instagram, score again of 35, and early exploration phase, so nurture. So that's basically it. We've built the entire agent from end to end. And that's the entire build. You've got everything you need to help build yourself a commercial AI agent from start to finish, from an empty project folder to 2 live intake channels, 1 working brain, and automatic routing all in one session. Now here's the thing, this isn't just a one-off. This is something that I build for my agents every single time for both me and for my clients. 1 brain, structured intake, and routing that never sleeps. So if you want to build these for yourself, or you want to start getting paid to build them for other people, that's exactly what I built the AI operators community for. Now we're not open just yet, there is a waitlist. So what I want you to do is comment waitlist or go to my Instagram and DM me the word waitlist, and I'll make sure that you're the first person to get involved. I've also put together a bundle of pre-built AI agents if you'd rather just skip to running them instead of learning how to build them yourself. These ones are ready for you to import and deploy 4 different agents. We've got the lead qualification, email triage, content repurposing, and client discovery agent, all just for $197. So that's everything. Get your bundle, make your money, join the community, and I'll see you inside.